Perfect. But this bit is not purple or gold. Phone. Andy, I need to get this tank mouse PCB in purple.
With just a multimeter and a steel rule, far from an ideal toolset, I set about reverse engineering the tank mouse PCB. I used KCAD to generate the schema. Using a multimeter, I added components as I went. At the heart of the tank mouse there's an LM339, which is a quad differential comparator. This takes the output from the sensors and converts that into quadrature that the Amiga can understand. The optical sensors are two discrete components. For ease of placement, I've used a single symbol for the sensor used by both the horizontal and vertical. This made it easier to create a PCB footprint, as I could ensure that the physical relationship between the diode and the receiver were incorporated as part of that one footprint. Beyond the sensors, it was just a matter of mapping out the left and right mouse buttons and the connector to the Amiga. Once I felt the schematic was accurate, I moved to the physical dimensions of the PCB, added cutouts and located critical components like the sensors and the buttons. My strategy here was simple. I made all the measurements relative to a single point, which was the bottom left hand corner, measuring up and inward for each cutout and component. When I'd finished, I cross-checked some of the components between themselves, taking measurements just to make sure everything lined up as I expected and was pretty much identical to the original PCB. Next, I placed all the components and wired it up, using the original PCB as a guide for where the traces would probably go. It's not an exact replica. Finally, I compared the new PCB with the old one, first using a screen and then using a printout from KCAD, or KiCad, or KiCad, however we're pronouncing that these days. Once everything was aligned, I added the essential silkscreen logos for more fun making it and HBR, and then placed an order for the PCBs. The whole process, from the initial conversation with Lee to placing the order for the PCBs, was just under 24 hours. But the real question is, did I get it right?
Sponsors of this video are PCBWay. They provide PCB prototype fabrication from as little as $5. They also have a huge library of shared projects. And if you're not confident with a soldering iron, you can even get them to assemble them for you. PCBWay also have CNC machining and 3D printing services. All of this is available at PCBWay.com. Thanks PCBWay for sponsoring this video.
A week later, the PCBs arrived. To my astonishment, the plastic ball cage clipped onto the new PCB without any issues at all.
Rob Smith's fridge magnets seem to get everywhere.
Looking at his two PCBs side by side, the purple looks absolutely gorgeous in comparison to the original green and brown 80s monstrosity. Dimensions look to be pretty accurate, and I appear to have done a relatively good job of getting everything in the right place. Now it's just a matter of transferring all the components from the original mouse PCB to the new one.
In the immortal words of KLF, all bound for Moo Moo Land. Though the ball cage fits perfectly when the sensors aren't installed, when they are, it's a little tight. So I didn't quite make the hole for the shield connector big enough. I can rectify that just by soldering a pin to the end and then heat shielding that and soldering that to the board. Well, it's all together and it doesn't work.
Oh, leave it out. You had one job to do.
A bit of investigation, beeping out the PCB, I found that for some reason I've managed to miss connecting one of the traces to a pin. It's just not there. Easily fixed with a simple bodge.
Now you've watched the video, do you spot the Morse code? I'll leave that one with you. Why not try one of these videos next?